it really possible to go from zero to $41+ million? Is that really possible? It's from zero, 41. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to go from zero to rich. Zero. So, and to preface it, I'm going to be like really transparent and share some of my pain and some of my shame. Because 10 years ago, I was broke. I didn't have zero 10 years ago. I had less than zero. I was living on borrowed money. So there's a physics principle. Here's what the physics principle says. No high energy result will ever flow to a low energy source. By the way, it's interesting. It says you shall remember that it's the Lord that gives you the power to get wealth. Well, what is power? Power is energy. If you desire wealth, which is a high energy result, then you must become a source of what? High energy. High energy things will start flowing towards you. But if you're a source of low energy, then you will only low energy things will flow towards you. So wealth is a high energy result. The second thing I want to bring to your attention about wealth that maybe nobody ever brought to your attention, wealth is measured more in time than money. Now, when you get this will change your focus. Okay? Wealth is measured more in time than it is in money. What does that mean? Okay. I am telling you that creating wealth has a need for speed. Now, here's why that's been a problem for you. Because you've been warned. You've been warned your whole life about what? Get rich quick schemes. Beware of the get rich quick schemes, right? You got to be aware of that, right? Okay. Now, the word scheme means plan, so beware of plans that could get you rich quick. Okay. So, because a scheme is a schematic, which means a plan. So, beware of the get rich quick scheme. So, beware of the plan to get rich quick. I get it. Everybody who has a business opportunity is going to get you rich quick. I get it. It's not like the Bible gives some warnings about being in too big a hurry to make money. I get that. I don't have time to teach what those mean today. I will at some point, but not today. Okay. But here's part of your problem. You've been warned your whole life about get rich quick schemes, but nobody warned you about the stay broke for the rest of your life scheme. So you opted into the one you haven't been warned about. Am I telling the truth? And so what we have to do is we have to figure out, okay, is this how I desire to live my life? Do I desire to live my life in such a way that I'm going to live on the struggle bus my whole life when it's totally unnecessary? Because there are people in the world. Hey, watch this now. There are people in the world whose problems you can solve right now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to go back to school to be able to solve their problems. You don't have to go take a class. You don't have to get a certification. You just know how to solve their problem. Why? Because you went through the problem and you solved it, and now you can solve theirs. But I don't know. I don't want to make too much money too fast. Got to slow this thing down. It's going too fast. How many of y'all tracking? And by the way, I know for a fact that when you get to the place and you start making some relatively decent money, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month, you start feeling. I'm going to tell you what happened to me. Maybe it won't happen to you, but you start having a little bit of guilt because now you have choices, and you have choices that the other people around you in your life don't have. And you can decide what time you want to get up instead of having somebody else decide that for you. And you can decide where to take a vacation and where you want to go and how long you want to stay instead of having somebody decide that for you. And you can decide what neighborhood you live in and what car you drive. And now all of a sudden you have all these choices, but everybody around you is still like, you're like, you want to go to the golf course. So you call somebody, hey, you want to go play golf? No, man, I got to go to work, man. What are you talking about? It's the middle of the week. What are you doing? No. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Right. And so creating a level of wealth eliminates certain constraints that you have on you right now, but the people that you love, a lot of those people that you love and like are still going to have some of those constraints, and it's going to make you feel like, well, I'm not really better than them, and you're not. And so what happens is maybe you'll do like I did in the beginning. You'll just start giving money away randomly just because you're like, well, I didn't really work that hard to make this, and it came in really fast, and so maybe I'll just give it away. How can we use this power that God has given us to get wealth? So, 2014, 10 years ago, I was broke. Hey, 10 years ago, I was broker than broke. 10 years ago. Why am I telling you this? Because 10 years is going to go by whether you get rich or not. The next 10 years is going to go by. What are you going to do with it? Well, now I don't have any magic blessings for you. I'm not going to tell you if you sow a seed into my life, God's going to make you rich. I'm not going to tell you that, oh, if you do certain, no. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you apply wealth principles, they're not going to stop working just because you applied them. Are y'all tracking? Like wealth principles, like, oh, no, it's Myron. I'm not going to work for him. I work for Tim, but not for Myron. Wealth principles don't care. Principles are God's automation. God set up principles so they would do what they do without him having to use any of his effort. So what is this power? So now I'm going to break it down. Y'all ready? We're going to go from, how did Myron Golden go from being broke as a joke and ready to choke, living on borrowed money 10 years ago? How did he go from in the last 2020, 21, 22, 20, 21, 22, 23, and half of 24, in the last 4.5 years, $41 million in revenue. How's that even? Does that sound unnatural to anybody besides me, or is it just me? It sounds pretty unnatural, right? I'm going to show you. So here's what I realized. Okay, what are the things, the awarenesses, and the intentions that I received from God that resulted in this massive, like rapid wealth creation experience, not events. Okay, one, the power to get wealth is number one, it is the power of pain. P-A-I-N, pain. I added the E just in case there's anybody here whose last name is Payne. Okay, no, I don't know why I added the E. So the power of pain is part of the power to get wealth. One of the reasons people don't get wealthy is because they don't have to. They are so comfortable where they are right now, and they've been so comfortable their whole lives, they don't have enough pain to move them off of square one. Like, yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, being wealthy would be nice, but that's not necessary because I'm already all right. It doesn't take money to make money. It takes awareness and some intention and some decisions. Anyway, so the power of pain, the pain of reality. Life doesn't always give you what you desire. How many of y'all picking up what I'm putting down? You know, sometimes life is hard. And so the reality of the fact that this is real. If you're going to get rich, you're going to find your wealth in the arena of purpose. And purpose is the thing you were made for. Like you were created for a specific purpose to serve a specific group and kind of people to a specific end. And God has equipped you uniquely to do your thing. But here's what we do. We see somebody else making money doing something, and we say, I'm going to do what they're doing because it makes money. But it's not your purpose. And so just because it's profitable for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to be profitable for you if it's not your purpose. Trust that there are already people out there in the world who would love to pay you to do the thing you love to do. Amateurs spend 4 to 10 times as much time performing as they do preparing. Professionals spend 4 to 10 times as much time preparing as they do performing. That's why when they stand up to perform, it looks effortless, because they put their effort in before they got in the arena. You have to have the ability to perceive principles. If you can't perceive principles, like you look at something and you don't understand, oh, this is a principle. The law of sowing and reaping, for instance, is a principle. You reap what you sow. That's part of the law, right, of sowing and reaping. But what else? You reap later than you sow, right? Because you don't sow the seed today and reap the harvest today. What else? You reap more than you sow. You sow one seed, you grow a whole crop. You grow a whole tree or a whole plant. So you reap what you sow, but you reap later than you sow, and you reap more than you sow. So the law, that's a principle. Like if you ignore that principle, you will do it to your own detriment. For instance, you tell a lie because it's currently convenient. Are you tracking? But then when the people you lied to discover it was a lie, you've destroyed trust in a moment that could take decades to rebuild. So your inability to perceive how life works is costing you a fortune. Your inability to perceive principles is costing you a fortune. There are wealth principles. Every word is a seed, every deed is a seed, every dollar is a seed that you're sowing into the garden of your future. That's a principle. Isn't it interesting that in order to do well at business, you have to do the thing that God told you to do? Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. What does that mean? You love God so much that you don't violate any of his principles when dealing with other people, and you love other people so much that you never do them anything that would never do anything to them that would harm them. You never sell them anything that would harm them. You never do business with them in a way that would harm them, because if you do, it's like harming yourself. If you ignore that principle, it's going to come back and bite you at a very inconvenient time. So you have to have the ability to perceive principles. You have to have the ability to perceive other people's problems. If you are a miserable person, and there are a lot of them in the world, the reason you are miserable is because you're self-absorbed, consumed with self, you're selfish, because joy only comes from obsessing over other people's problems. You don't get any joy from obsessing over your problem. All you get is more depressed. I'm just so depressed that I can't help it. No, you can help it. Go help somebody else. And it's the same formula for creating wealth. What? In other words, my problem is, well, I need the money. Okay, good. Now, go solve somebody's problem who has some money, who needs that problem solved more than they need the money. Your problem is not that you don't have money. Your problem is that you've not obsessed over a big enough problem for a large enough group of people who has the money to pay to get it solved. That's your financial problem. So you obsess. Now, I want you to wrap your mind around this. Like, where did this $41 million come from? It came from me obsessing over other people's problems. I obsessed over their problems until I boiled down the solution in business to 4 moves. You obsess over other people's problems. You obsess over your, or you perceive other people's problems. You perceive the powerful principles. You perceive people's problems, and then you perceive their payoff. One of the reasons you can't sell is because you're too busy talking about your own stuff. Don't talk, like, I'm not going to talk to you about my product. I'm not going to talk to you about my piece. My product being, let's say my product is my book. If I'm going to sell my book, if I'm going to sell this book, I'm not going to talk to you about the book. Because you don't care about the book. You only care, what can this book do for you? So if I say, well, buy my book because it's really, really good, and I used to be a trash man, and now I'm the cash man, and so it's a really, really interesting story about my life. 2 words come to your mind so fast you can hardly block them out. So what? But if I say, in this book, I laid out the financial literacy principles that helped me go from making $6.25 an hour, full-time with overtime. Overtime was $9.50. Full-time, to making 7 figures a month part-time. And I have a principle in here I call the money management principle of millionaires. If you only apply that one principle, just that one, you will never be broke again. Now, you've got a reason to want to read that book. You see what I did? I didn't talk about the book. The book doesn't matter. The book is only a carrier for the transformation. So you obsess, you perceive you perceive principles, you perceive people's problems, and then you perceive their payoff. And when you're talking to people, you only talk to them about what they get. Stop talking to them about what you have. Nobody cares what you have. Nobody cares what I have. It doesn't matter. They only care what they get. So when I'm talking to you about what I have, I only need to talk to you about what it gets you. The power of precision. The power to get wealth is the power of precision. Sometimes you just have to be ready when you're in the right place. Because ready in the right place is what makes the right place at the right time. See, it's you being ready that makes the timing right. You've already been in the right place. So many times in your life you couldn't count them if you had the opportunity. You just